Hey, it's Ben from the Warehouse Underground podcast. Running out of space in your facility. It is one of the worst things that can happen. Completely slows down your op. But the customer doesn't care. That's your problem, right? But it doesn't have to be. There is a solution out there that can be a shelter in the storm until it blows over. And that can come from Warehouse on Wheels. They deliver on-demand storage trailers when you need them that flex with your operation. And with locations all across North America, there's a very good chance that they can help you too. No long-term leases for a new facility, no delays, no overpaying for space you don't need, no CapEx, just simple, smart storage delivered right to your door. So don't let your dock and your aisles become jam-packed with pallets wrecking your operation. No, let WOW be your side storage solution while you go back to focusing on mainline operations. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 25 at the Warehouse Underground podcast, Real Talk for warehouse, DC, and FC professionals of all levels around the globe. I'm Ben, the host of the show, and great show today. I have Jim Perry, who is the commercial business director at Warehouse on Wheels, joining me today. Now, Warehouse on Wheels is partnered with the Warehouse Underground, and I actually have had the CEO of Warehouse on Wheels on my show before on episode 14. And that was a fantastic show. I love talking with Warehouse on Wheels because they provide a solution, a much needed solution for a problem that ails many, many warehouse managers across the country, and that is running out of space. And like I always say, if you're a warehouse manager out there and you have yet to experience this in your career, at some point you will. But Warehouse on Wheels is a fantastic solution for you that can solve some of those pain points, whether that be for the short term and the long term. And now they're becoming very, very well integrated in what is really happening in operations across the country. They really know the teams very well. They know the managers very well, and they really know how to be a solution for them. And so Jim Perry is right in that space. I'm excited to bring him on the show and talk with him, and I will bring him on the stage right now. Jim, my friend, welcome to the Warehouse Underground. Thank you very much for coming on. How are you today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Ben. Look forward to it.
Yeah, so I should let the audience know that you're in Las Vegas currently. At the moment. You're doing the show from Las Vegas, but you hit the real jackpot, Jim, because you're appearing on the Warehouse Underground podcast. So that's the real jackpot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Glad it worked out.
Yeah, me too. Right, so I gave a little bit in the intro about Warehouse on Wheels and the solution that they're providing, but for you personally, can you just tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what's your background, and how you ended up where you are today at Warehouse on Wheels, and what's it all about?
Sure. So for about 23 years now, to age myself, I have been in the transportation space. Mainly in the technology space. So I was selling GPS, temperature monitoring, trailer tracking, which is how I met the folks at Warehouse on Wheels. I was the person who sold them their trailer tracking because a lot of customers want to know when the trailers are full, where they're at. So they were one of my first customers right before the pandemic. So I've known these folks for a very long time. And I got to a point where I wanted to make a move. And you had mentioned in the intro, our CEO, John Brooks,
Yes.
class act when they were a customer of mine. So I reached out to John, and true to his nature and his character, he put me in contact with the right folks. And I think it was probably within 3 weeks, I was an employee here.
Yeah. Now the show's not about John Brooks, but I will mention that if you follow him on LinkedIn, like I do, you see that there's just tons of goodness coming out of him. right? Like how he thinks about things and how he organizes his company and builds the company. And so, just as an aside, I hope everybody will follow him online because he really is a really great guy. Now we hear that all the time, but Sean Brooks really is a good guy,
Yeah.
and I'm honored to be partnered with him and Warehouse on Wheels. So even outside of just warehousing stuff, right, or ops stuff, just real world life stuff, he's always there for that too, and I
Yeah,
appreciate and respect.
that's it. It's genuine. It's not just for clicks or likes or engagement. That's how he is in our meetings. So
Yep.
yeah, definitely
Yep.
a good follow.
Yep. Awesome. So now Warehouse on Wheels primarily is in the business of offering storage, right? You have
Yes.
storage trailers, and you offer storage for customers. Now, the name of the website I run is the Warehouse Underground, and the podcast is the Warehouse Underground podcast. And so most of my audience is in warehouses and distribution
Mhm.
centers and the like. So is that I mean, I would imagine that that is the main type of customers that you work with, but is it possible that it could also cross into other arenas too, like manufacturing, the whole like who's your bread and butter out there? Who's your primary customer base?
Yeah, great question. So it's literally everyone that has the need for capacity in almost every industry. So think automotive, retail, manufacturing,
Yep.
food, as long as it's, typically not frozen or temp controlled, um, textile. I mean, you name it. If you have the risk of slowing down production, slowing down efficiency, slowing down customer satisfaction because of what say in a generic form, stuff is in the way, that's where we come into play.
Yeah. I mean, and that's everywhere, like that everybody has that problem. I mean, I've worked in many facilities that were at capacity or past capacity. It's awful. It sucks. And so I know it from personal experience. But sometimes even if you just drive down the road, like I've been around the country and I've been in a lot of warehouses, and it's so common. Like every place you
Yes.
go is struggling to figure out what they're going to do with space. Now it can ebb and flow a little bit, I mean, you may go there at some point and it's okay, but then another time you may go and it's beyond capacity. So it really just all depends. I think. I mean, it's all over the map out there. Now, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say our business is based on demand and timing, right?
Yep.
And that's the beauty of what we do because we are not pinning them down to a 6, 7, 8 year contract that needs overhead, that needs different resources. We ebb and flow as they do.
Yeah, and that's great because inside the warehouse, it's not usually warehouses are not very flexible. They're pretty
Right.
static in the amount of racking that they have. I mean, in order to increase your racking, it takes a capex or it takes a big installation or something like that. So they usually have what they have. I mean, the square footage is what they have, but
Right.
the demand and the fluctuation of volume kind of goes like an accordion. I think it can go in and out, and so when you surge like that, let's say you surge because of Chinese New Year or something to that
Sure.
effect, I mean, you're going to be a month or 2 months where you're just jam packed to the gills, and then it will go down. And so typically people just figure it out, right? They just go through and suffer through that pain. But
Right.
that's where Warehouse on Wheels would come in and kind of be that relief valve, I think, during that 2 month or that 3 month time until it subsides. And you don't have to buy a whole lot of rack. You just rent a storage trailer and there you go. Right.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And, for some, it's like second nature to use
Yeah.
the solution that we provide. Others, it's an education. And that's something that, myself and my colleagues and our GMs, that's what we spend a lot of time doing is painting that picture, telling the story of how we have solved it for similar companies or similar challenges, and then making them see that vision within their own walls to say, oh, I got it. And
Yep.
that's a home run for me. If I get that aha moment look, it's a win. It's a
A
win. And then it's
touchdown.
just 100%. And then it's just figuring out what they need, how they need it, when they're going to need it. And then that's what we do very, very well here is execute after that aha moment.
Yep. Now I remember early in my career, so I started my career in an Amazon FC
Hmm.
and it was huge. And so I know there's many other managers out there that kind of start there. It's pretty common, but space is not really something that I thought about at all. Right there was plenty of space there, so you just kind of grow up running ops and not thinking about it. But then
Right.
when I left there and I went and worked for a family-owned company, it had space problems all the time. But because I had never lived in that environment or was used to it, I just suffered through it. I didn't really know that there was the solution out there. And so
Sure.
I think it's like you said, it's just great education to say, hey, bringing storage trailers in as part of your contingency plan for space is not only operationally effective, it can be cost effective too if you are honest about all of the true costs that come from running a facility that's over capacity,
Right.
right? If you're honest
Absolutely.
about the extra touches and how much it slows down your order pickers or all those things, okay, those aren't going to show up on the P&L on, hey, here was a one-time expense for a storage trailer, right? Or racking or something like that. But all those things go into it, right? and
And the
and
hidden ones,
savvy leaders know that.
sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, and even the ones that aren't as obvious are going to show up. It's the employee frustration, the risk, the safety, the fire risks. All of those are compounded upon the normal operational challenges. And
Oh God. I mean,
that vision becomes clear, then it's a whole different conversation.
yeah, you Jim, you're totally right on that. I mean, employee morale in a building that is chock full is super low.
Sure.
No one likes it. They can't stand it. They hate it. It's hard to keep them engaged. And where's that show up? That doesn't show up on the sales spreadsheet that tracks the finances.
Right.
But you better believe it shows up to the ops leaders inside that building.
Yep.
They know.
Absolutely.
And turnover can affect you too. So now let me ask you this question. I mean, and when we kind of already talked a little bit about the value that you're bringing, right, and the solutions that you're bringing, but what's the experience like? Like if somebody wants to pick up the phone and contact Warehouse on Wheels for some type of solution, what does that look like? Like, what's the feeling that you want your customers to walk away with when they utilize you as a partner or a solution?
Yeah, no, great question. So, what we say often is trailers are what we should be thinking about, and storage is what we should be thinking about. They shouldn't be. They should feel once it's deployed that it's an expansion of their operation. So when they call into any one of our 37 branches from Canada to Mexico and throughout the US, it should be a very seamless process. Then it's our job to understand what they're dealing with, what type of storage that they're going to be looking for. Meaning, is it going to be a 53-foot trailer that sits idle? Is it going to be one that has to have some road capability? Do they
Right.
need swing doors or overhead doors because of capacity or space limitations on their dock? So there's more than just saying we're going to put a box on wheels at your door. Is it going to be at your door? Is it going to be in the back of their lot? So many things for us to consider to make sure we are delivering what they need to solve that problem. And then after that, we don't want them having to worry about the trailer. So they call us. We like to say it's a one call resolution, meaning anyone that they're talking to at the branch in their area is going to listen to them, take what they're looking for, and then get to work and make sure that that's resolved. And, on that initial call, in most cases, we could have a trailer ready to deliver. Sometimes if it's an emergency, we can have it same day. But I think in realistic terms, 24, 48 hours at the latest and they're going to be able to start feeling that capacity relief and start using our asset.
Yeah, I think that's huge because you mentioned something there where to the effect of, hey, the manager there already has enough problems
Right.
that they're dealing with, right? Like they already have enough things that they're balancing on their plate, and so we don't want to create another one for them to balance or manage. So we're trying to come in and solve their problem, make it stress free for them, like a relief valve, because that's really what they're looking for, right? Like
100%. Yep.
they're not really looking for the trailer, right? They're looking for the solution that it can provide for them and the relief so that they can get back to running their operation like how they want to run it. So I think by really kind of integrating yourself with them and understanding what the uniqueness is of their particular need, their particular site, I think in the eyes of an ops manager or warehouse manager, to me, that shows, okay, I feel like they are here to partner with me. And so that means that I'm going to go back to them every single time that this is an issue for me. Because, you know, they're trying to solve problems for their customers. They're trying to ship orders. They're trying to keep their employees happy.
Right.
And we already said that running out of space is a barrier to all of that. So if you can remove this one barrier, it solves 10 other issues that they had going on in their facility. And so I think that's huge. I mean, I think that is critically important to kind of be an extension of what they're already trying to do in their ops. So I love that about
Yeah.
warehouse on
Good.
wheels. I think that is just great. Um, Now you mentioned that people will call you like, and you can get sometimes out the same day. Do people like give you enough time in advance? I mean, do you see customers that say, hey, 2 or 3 weeks from now, I'm going to need this amount? Or is most of the calls, holy crap, I'm out of space now and I need 5 trailers tomorrow or yesterday, if you could get it here yesterday?
All
What do you see? All the
All
above?
the above. Yeah, all the above. So I said it's a demand and timing business that we're in. In some cases, we do have the planning as the third lever there. But that's not always, right? It's typically a hair on fire, whether it's a surge from a supplier, whether it's a change in manufacturing line. I see this often to where a new hot product is hitting that manufacturer's plate and they have to switch out the line. They know it's going to come back. But in the meantime, where am I going to put that equipment that's not going to cause even more
Yep.
issues on top of all the other stuff that I have? So they use us as a hub and spoke type model to where our trailers become the spoke, and it can either be at the dock ready to access in the back of their lot if they have that space, on one of our remote storage yards if that's works within their supply chain. But it really it's limitless on what you can do from one trailer that's 450 square feet. I always use this math because it's easy for me. If I'm bringing you 23 trailers, you're going to have 10,000 square feet from which now to act, and you're going to have access to act because it's not across town. It's not sitting at another warehouse that you are going to have resources to do. That access to act, to me, is one of the most critical things that we do for our customers. They can
Yeah, I
still
think
get it.
that's savvy. I mean, I think when you say, when you convert it into square feet, sometimes the light bulb can go off. Oh, 10,000 square feet sure sounds great right now versus, oh, you're going to have a bunch of trailers on your yard. Oh, no,
Right.
you're going to have 10,000 square feet. Oh, okay. Sign me up for that. I'm definitely game for that. So now, Jim, I follow you on LinkedIn, just like I do many of the WOW employees, right? So 5 and 53, seeing 5 and 53, you know, like you saw my comment on that. So if you don't
Yes.
know if you don't know what we're talking about, to go check out Jim Perry and 5 and 53. Well, I really think he's on to something there. But I've heard you say before with a certain customer that you, there's renting trailers, quote unquote, renting trailers, and then there's turning them into warehouses on wheels.
Yes.
So what's kind of the difference there? What did you mean when you said that? Because I think that was a pretty insightful post that you made about that concept that a certain customer out there had done.
Yeah. So as I just mentioned, so the hair on fire is always going to happen, right? There's going to be a surge. There's going to be an impact. There's going to be a front loaded order that arrives before you thought, right? That's more spot storage. But when you look at it and really start planning and looking at the operation and start thinking, okay, so here's our main warehouse, which we're never looking to replace. Obviously, that's always going to be the critical hub. But if you can start creating segments off of that and stage them in strategic ways, and then
Mm.
use a contingency plan, which we have a couple of our customers that do, they'll have trailers there sitting empty, ready to take it from one place to another. They'll use it for transferring between facilities if it's a road ready cartage.
Yep.
So it's really looking at the supply chain and looking at maybe some of the more legacy ways of buying and acquiring assets as opposed to using it more as a project based and
Yep.
even along these customers that I'm talking about have been using us in one for 30 years.
Yeah.
Because our business, as I'm sure John shared, is through acquisition. So some of our family companies have been doing this in their communities for a long time. So when you look at a company that's using 800, 2,000 trailers, and it's the veins of that core hub, that's when you really know you're onto something. And I
Yep.
say to a lot of net new prospects that are considering this, listen, we sell a very simple solution that can solve very complex problems if you think beyond, oh, I have to rent a box on wheels, right? A box on
Yep.
wheels on our yard is just that. It's a box on wheels. Once it's delivered, now it's ideas, it's solutions, it's a way to mitigate those problems that you're having behind those walls.
Yeah, and I think like if I was running a facility that had tons of space in it, right? Tons of open pallet positions and the whole thing, there would be no reason for me to have warehouse on wheels as a partner, right?
Sure.
Really, like my facility is open. But the thing is though, is that so many facilities are full, like they get full. And so I think if you build in repetition, like the loyal customers that you're talking about, you build in this rhythm, right? This rhythm year over year over year, and you create this system that works, and you rely on the service that they get from warehouse on wheels. Like, why change that? Right. I mean,
Right.
that is working. It's cost effective. It's efficient. Our customers are happy. Our employees are happy. Our costs are under control. Our inventory is accurate. It's not getting damaged. It's not getting stolen. Like, none of these things are happening. So let's just stick with it. Like, we
Right.
found something that's working, and let's go. So I like that, and I appreciate that, because in warehousing, you will see people sometimes that have been doing it for a long time. They've been in the same facility for 10 years or 15 years, or a family owned company, and they're they're an interesting bunch. They don't like change a whole lot.
Right.
And so if you've earned their trust, right, and they know that they can work with you, they're not going to stray from that. And so, I think that's a really good thing. Now, let me ask you this question though, Jim.
Sure.
When like and John and I talked a little bit about this too. There are at companies, there's CEOs, there's chief operating officers, there's chief financial officers, there's all this, but who calls you, right? Like, who is the person that is calling you that is your actual person, right? That is your
Yeah.
actual customer. Is it the chief operating officer or the CEO? Probably not, I'm guessing, but who's picking up the phone? Like, what
Yeah.
are they, where?
Sorry to interrupt you again. It is based on size, right? But for the most part, our core persona, as as it's said in the marketing world, is going to be the material handler,
Yep.
the warehouse manager, the distribution center manager, the plant manager. Um, but then we'll also get procurement. We're
Uh,
really starting to see that come into play because they want to make sure that they have a touch on the rogue operators, right? Because even though
yep.
a trailer is not an expensive addition to the supply chain, if you don't have a mechanism and the size of a company like we have that can help you control that, it can be where yeah, we have 100 of them and we know where 70 are. Right.
Yeah.
Where I've worked with some of our core customers and said, let us give you a monthly automatic visibility report that's going to show you who's renting and where they're located so they can really know that okay, these guys aren't just giving me a transactional trailer here. They are
Yep.
really concerned and have care that they're providing us a solution that we can manage as well in partnership with them.
Yeah, I love that because all the warehouse managers that might be listening out there, this is just like buying pallets, right? There's no capex, there's no right. It's just an extra line on your budget that you spend. That's very similar to supplies. I've done this before, so you don't have to raise the interest of the CEO like anybody like that. You can just have a immediate solution. So now, and you brought up a point, and I've thought about this long and hard. Have you can you store trailers on your own yard? Now, I think you said earlier in the show
Mhm.
that you do that. I
Most Oh, I'm
I like
sorry.
that. I can think of a lot of reasons why that would be effective to have some of my stuff stored on your yard. But what's your ability there? What say you?
Yeah, most have the capability. For instance, I'm in Vegas as you had mentioned, and the folks here at Advantage, they have the ability to do it, right? So what that
Yeah,
does is it frees up the limit because I've noticed with being in the market for the last several days, a lot of these folks don't have huge yards here, right? Some
yeah,
of them in the Midwest, they're expansive.
yep.
But here's a cool story that goes along with that topic. So we have someone that is a non-for-profit business in the Midwest that uses our trailers as an inventory control and management system in conjunction with our
Oh,
branch Meisler in that area. So what they'll
yeah,
do is they'll put stock based on seasonality, based on what the urgency is at that given point. They'll store it on our yard, but then when they need it for their customers, they just give us a call and say, I'll just use myself. Hey Jim, we need
yeah,
trailers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ready for us to pick up and they'll come and get them. So it's really a cool way that most
yeah,
people wouldn't think of a storage trailer. Most people think of a storage trailer similar to that yard that's in almost every town that has an old rail container sitting in it
yeah,
that has rust and it's just sitting there and never gets used. That's
yeah,
that's not what we're looking to do. We're really looking to change the way that they're controlling their supply chain, moving their product and then expanding that capacity. So hopefully that answered your question, but that's
yeah,
not everyone has that. But here's the cool thing that John has instilled in all of us. Our first reaction is not to say no. Now that doesn't mean we have every capability. And there are times that we have to say, listen, we might not be the best for that, but we have acquired space. We will go out and work on their behalf to do that. Myself and one of our regional operations managers are doing that right now for a major company where they were looking to expand because they were constrained on their yard in conjunction with trailers. So
yep,
we really look to go beyond just, again, I keep saying it, that transaction of here's a trailer,
yep.
use it. It really goes beyond that.
That's big because now you're moving out of just this static storage and moving more into like, hey, we can be a chess piece for you.
Correct.
Like you can move us around like a chess piece. We can help you move inventory around and help your operation run. And that's a whole different ball game than just like you said, the image of just an old trailer just sitting there, boom, on the ground. And
Yeah.
no, that's not really how ops run today, right? They're more strategic and dynamic and fluid. And it sounds like you're right there with them. Like you can be fluid right there with them and meet them at that game where they're at.
Yeah, we absolutely can be, and that's what we love. I mean, that's
Yeah.
give us a problem to solve, right? It's these guys have been doing it. And fortunately, I've been here now for about 18 months. They've been doing this a long time. Delivering a trailer is second nature, but give us a
Yeah.
problem to solve, and the resources that we have within the organization to make that happen. It's impressive and it's cool and it's nimble because we're big in this space, but we're not so big that we have multiple layers. John's a call away. Our COO Brent Matters call away. Let's figure it out, make it happen, and secure that customer for not only this project, but ideally for the future.
Yeah, and I think that's very endearing to warehouse leaders out there, ops leaders out there, because that's what they do, right?
Sure.
They pride themselves on being flexible and creative and dynamic. I mean, they have to be all those things to run operation. And so if they meet a partner that also has that in their DNA too, then it's like, hey, you're speaking my language. Right. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm going through. And you're right there. So I love that part of it. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast in the business now. It's way more dynamic than people think. If you just see a warehouse, you just think, it's a dusty old empty warehouse, the whole thing. But inside, it is way more dynamic than I think the average person would realize. But you guys realize that. And so I appreciate that and respect that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let me ask this question, Jim. I'm sure that most people bring up this is probably a very common question, right? Weather, security, can I really trust my stuff in a trailer long term, that type thing. I would venture that 90% of the people that call you for the first time probably at some point bring up this question. So what
Yeah.
say you on this one?
Yeah, so our branches in all of our locations put the trailers through a revigoration when we acquire them. So again, I'm sure John mentioned that these are typically former OTR type trailers. We bring them in, put them through a revitalization, and make sure they're dry, safe, and dark. Those are the three words that everyone in WOW is going to be able to tell you right away. Because without that, then it's not serving its
Yep.
purpose. Our goal is to make sure that the product inside is secure, just as the customer is going to expect it to be. So it is. I understand the concern. I get it because it's not brick and mortar and it's a new idea. But that is what we specialize in: is making sure photos are taken before they're delivered, they're taken when they're returned. We really go through that process of making sure prior and then when they come back, that as we call it, they're rent ready. They're ready to go to work.
Yep. I
That's
love that.
our
And I think
job.
that leads to the ease of doing business. A warehouse manager is like, oh, okay, crap, storage trailer. I got to wrap all my stuff to protect it from the rain because it's going to leak. So it's such a nice relief to say, nope, it's going to be safe, dry, and dark. And that's where you can trust and your stuff will be good in there, good to go. So
Yes.
huge headache listed, I think, on that one. Now, so Jim, uh, I'll say, and I let John know this too, that I have used other, I don't want to say competitors. This is a while ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Okay.
And it was kind of like what you had already mentioned. It was very static. It was very still. They weren't really looking to solve any of my problems. It was just, do you want the storage container? It was actually a container. It wasn't even a trailer. Do you
Sure.
want the storage container or not? Here's the fee. Tell us when we can come get it, that type thing. And that left a really bad taste in my mouth. So, what differentiates you, Warehouse on Wheels, from some of those traditional people that are out there like there? And I know you know who they are. You know their names. I'm not going
Yeah.
to mention their names on the show, but what's the difference maker for WoW?
Yeah, first and foremost, I always, yeah, I even say it to our internal folks. There are some good companies doing what we do. I think it's naive, and I think it's, no one on the other end of this on this podcast is going to want me to say that we're the only ones that do it right. But what
Yeah.
makes us different is really starts at the top with how the company was built. And when you have 37 locations singing from the same songbook that has the one call resolution from the start of the relationship, it becomes an emergency on our end when a customer says that our trailer needs to do this, or our trailer maybe has a broken light, right? Somehow it got hit or something like that. Our job is to make sure that trailer is ready to be in the form and the shape that they originally requested and we delivered, to make sure, going back to your previous question, that their material inside, whether it's corrugate, whether it's resin, or whether it's a finished good ready to go to a customer, that remains in that state of being dry, safe, and dark. Because without it, we're just, snake oil salesmen,
Yeah.
doing, and that's not at all what we do. This is not a transaction. That's why I try to have a conversation, understand what they're currently experiencing, seeing what they want to see in the future, and then filling that gap with the right solution on our end.
Gotcha. I love it. Now, what about? Well, I mean, so we've talked a little bit about your yard and the customer yard,
Mhm.
but what about the logistics of it, Jim? I mean, how far can you go to deliver? How far have you gone? Are you nearby where your customers are? How are you doing the transition of trailers in and out? How does all that song and dance part of the organization run for you? Because I would think that that could become a little bit complex with how many customers you serve.
Yeah, so that's really one of the beauties of having 37 locations, peppered throughout not only the US, but like I said, in Canada, and then our newest market in Mexico. So we always say on the surface it's a 150-mile radius for delivery. But there's always instances where we have gone farther. Now, that does come with a transportation fee, which no one is surprised by. Everyone understands that. So we have, for folks that say, listen, we like what you do for us locally, but we have a remote yard, a remote office, a sister company, and we need it farther into Pennsylvania, or we need it a little outside of what Dallas would normally do. We have done that. And whether we have our own drivers, which some of our locations do, or we have partners that, for instance, the folks in Las Vegas, I would swear their partner delivery company is like a part of Advantage Trailer here. I
Yeah.
have heard this person's name held in high regard for the last 72 hours, and I wish I had this guy in every one of my markets. And that's not to say we don't. I'm just giving this guy credit where credit's due. So
Yeah.
it's our job to source when we need to go a little bit outside the bounds. But we also want to make sure that it's in the right price range for them. And we have, and every one of our branches have said, listen, that might be something that you might want to source local to there. And then we'll still get pushback and say, we like what you guys do. We trust you. We know that you're going to give us a
Yep.
good product, and we make it happen for 'em.
Yeah. I think but I mean, you're in the business of you try not to say no, right? That is
Correct.
is is
Yes.
is one of the tenets, and you're in the business of building loyalty with all of these different people out here during their time of need, right? Like during once you solve a solution for someone, I think when they're in a struggle, then that I mean that is forming a very ironclad bond. I think it's one thing to just, oh well, we're a provider for somebody and they had a good experience, whatever. But no, I was in a struggle. I was fighting, and these guys kind of gave me a life raft when I was drowning, and now I'm like insanely loyal because I appreciate that relief, and that can go a long way because it's very stressful to run out of space in the facility. as you.
Yeah, and but they also appreciate it when we're forthcoming and saying, "Hey, that's, you might be in this instance,"
Well,
and we've helped coordinate it. So I mean, it really, that's the partnership of it. And yes, delivering a quality trailer on time builds loyalty, but using outside of our normal resources to help them
yep,
solve their problems, now we have a pretty good relationship with that
yep.
customer, and that's something that we take great pride in.
Yeah, I mean, now there's just a level of respect, right?
Yes,
There's just a level of respect and appreciation and understanding on both sides, and that's golden, I think, in today's age, particularly in this
agreed.
industry. It's an industry of people that are typically very hardworking, very gritty, very resourceful, and so they, I think, they respond to that type of company that is also that way, like Warehouse on Wheels is, that they can really respect. So I appreciate that. So
But smart as heck. I've met some of the
they
most
are.
creative, strategic, intelligent, funny, in
Yep.
getting inside of a warehouse. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to get inside, get into the bones and the veins of what
Yep.
they're doing, see if there's any identifiable bottlenecks that we can help identify, because
Yep.
we've done it so many times. That's what energizes me
Yep.
every conversation I have to get that opportunity.
I love that. I mean, you go into a lot. I mean, I've been in a lot of different warehouses, and I know you have too, and they're always different. There's
Yes.
always something that is a little bit different, where it's the problem or the layout or the staffing or the product, whatever. And so sometimes when you come upon these unique solutions that people created and came up with at their particular site, I'm always just amazed. I would look at it and go, well, that is brilliant. I
Uh,
mean, that is brilliant that you guys came up. I mean, they had to come up with it as necessity, but still, though, it's just, I look at some of these things and I go, that's just, that's so creative. That's so
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah,
I
it's
appreciate that.
it's one of the most fun parts of my job by
Yeah.
far, and I've seen some of the coolest stuff getting made, while I'm
Oh,
in
yeah.
there trying to help them with other stuff, but just to see how stuff gets, my brain
Yep.
doesn't work that way. I'm
Yep.
creative in other ways, but what they've accomplished, it's amazing.
Yep. America runs on distribution. Like I
Yes,
say, you
sir.
think it runs on Duncan, you think again, this is where it runs. All right. So where can people find out more about you, more about Warehouse on Wheels? I know, like, I have the link posted to Warehouse on Wheels on my website and the former podcasts and everything, so people can get some stuff there. But where can they find out more?
Yeah, so we are really starting to blow up on all channels of social media. So LinkedIn for sure is our mainstay, right? That's where we do a
Yep.
lot of our thought leadership pieces. We do some personal, like John does, because it really shows. Our goal is to show that we're just not only thinking about trailers, even though we are. But we're now on Facebook. We're now on Instagram. We are on X. I almost said the old name. We have a YouTube channel now.
Yep.
That content is starting to get developed. We work with amazing partners in the marketing space, helping us to develop all this, partnering with folks like you, Ben. It's hard not to
Absolutely.
find us. What I always say, and I've said it internal and I've said it to prospects. No one wakes up on a Monday saying this would be a great week if I could add trailers, right?
Yeah.
That's just fact. But they don't necessarily always know that they need us until they need us. So
Yep.
what I would say is, have a conversation with us. Let us know what you're currently dealing with. And maybe everything's great, to your point. Maybe they have all the space, they have all the
Yep.
racking, until they don't. And
That's right.
we would just love to be, and earn the right to be, that call to even strategize if they're going to plan it, or if the hair's on fire. Let us help you solve it in the markets that we can do it in, and you won't regret it. You will understand it's a partnership from minute one.
Awesome. A humanosity, right? That's what John preaches. It's on the website. I appreciate that. So we're dealing with humans and
Yes.
humanosity. So I love that. Well, Jim, my friend, I've taken you away from well, you're not a casino guy, right?
No,
So, but
no,
I've
no.
taken you away from the shows for far too long. So thank you again for coming on the podcast, man. It was awesome. I always love talking with Warehouse on Wheels and really helping to kind of spread the message to everybody out there because I've been there. I've been in that warehouse manager's shoes and I know how valuable it is to have a solution like Warehouse on Wheels. And I appreciate chatting with you. And it was great, my friend.
I appreciate you having me. It's been a good time. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it. I'll see you around on LinkedIn, Jim. That's where I live. So I look
Me
forward
too.
to just more 5 and 53 videos.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ben.
All right. Take care, my friend. All right, guys, that concludes today's show. Thanks again, Jim Perry from Warehouse on Wheels, for coming on to talk about some of those solutions that they're providing. Yes, very proud and honored to be partnered with them. And they are a fantastic organization. So I encourage you to follow Jonathan Brooks, to follow Warehouse on Wheels, see what's going on there because there's some very good stuff in addition to the fantastic solutions that they provide for operators everywhere. As the Warehouse Underground goes, if you have not signed up for the community on the website, please do that. I think we have 210 people now that have signed up to the community. So expect lots more community live events coming down the pipe. And I think you guys will really like that. And remember, check out the Tiger Team, which is the show that I do with my co-host Jordan, with some wit, humor, and sarcasm, all things that are happening in the world of distribution with a funny slant. I think you guys will like that. Look for episode 6 later this month. And as this podcast goes, take care. I will see you next week for podcast number 26. God bless.